this great state of West Virginia. We thank you, Heavenly Father, for each one who has been chosen to lead this state. We ask that you guide them, direct them in all that they say and all that they do. Through Jesus' precious name, amen.
Amen. Members and guests will please remain standing as we are led in the Pledge of Allegiance today by the lady from the 52nd Delegate Saipo.
Would everyone please join me as we pledge the flag? I
pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Members and guests may be seated. Reading of the Journal.
Journal of the House of Delegates, Charleston, Monday, January 21st, 2019.
Journal from the 53rd, Delegate Jennings.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent that the further reading of the journal be dispensed with and that it be approved as have been read.
Gentleman from the 53rd, Delegate Jennings, asks unanimous consent that further reading of the journal be dispensed with and that it be approved as having been read. Is there objection? Is there objection? Chair hears no objection. So ordered. Lady from the 49th.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Rules Committee has met and House Bill 2008 relating to nonpartisan election of justices of the Supreme Court of Appeals has been moved to the House calendar.
Thank you. Introduction to guests. Lady from the 52nd, Delegate Saipo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, I would like to introduce as a group of individuals from Preston County, along with Delegate Jennings. If they would stand, I believe that most of them's in the gallery here on this side. We have individuals from different organizations from our chamber, EDA, county commissioners, business owners, and Friends of the Cheat, and just good old Preston County citizens here to join us today. Also, I see with our seniors. So if the House would just please make them welcome. And if you haven't visited the hallway, we have sausage, gravy, and biscuits, no buckwheat cakes, but the biscuits has got buckwheat flour in them. So we're still going with the traditions. Please join them out in the hallway later today. Thank you.
Gentleman from the 14th, Delegate Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Joining us today with the PAGE program from Roosevelt Elementary School, we have Caleb Jones and his mom, Ashley, if Caleb would stand up, and Justin Saxon, his mom, Amy, and his dad, C.W. Saxon. Would the House please welcome them?
Gentleman from the 60th, Delegate Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's my profound honor today to introduce in the South Gallery our good friends from Leadership Berkeley. If the House would please make them welcome.
Gentleman from the 51st, Delegate Hansen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the North Gallery today, recognizing the wonderful work that Watershed Associations do, and in particular Friends of the Cheat in Preston and Mon County, we have Executive Director Amanda Pitzer and Beth Warnick, and next to them, the Director of the Morgantown Public Library System, Sarah Palfrey.
Lady from the 51st, Delegate Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On Mon County Day, I would like to have everyone please to give a warm welcome to Dave Lowry, the president of Local 1058 with the United Mine Workers. Also, Nancy Jameson, the president of Mon Preston Central Labor Council. Mina Ryan, Sylvia Dow, and last but not least, my mother is also accompanied with my son, Derby Bernard, today in the South Gallery. Thank you. Please stay, Mom.
Gentleman from the 48th, Delegate Miley.
Mr. Speaker, in the South Gallery, we have a couple of Harrison County residents. So on behalf of the delegates from the 48th, I'd like to introduce Bob and Millie Orsburn, who are down here advocating with AARP on the various issues that affect our seniors in the state. Would you give them a warm welcome?
Gentleman from the 42nd, Delegate Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of Delegate Lavender Bow and myself, we'd like to welcome Danny Cray from Rodsford, who's an AARP volunteer. Will the House please make him welcome?
Gentleman from the 17th, Delegate Lovejoy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of the Wayne County delegation, pleased today to welcome some pages from Kellogg Elementary. If the pages would stand, and also to their chaperones in the gallery, Harrison Riggs, Nick Hurley, Cameron May, and Colton Early. Glad to have you. Please make them feel welcome.
Gentleman from the 19th, Delegate Hicks.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of all the delegates from Wayne County, I'd like to introduce some pages today, and they are also from Kellogg Elementary. These pages are Sophia Maynard, Naomi Maynard, Riley Maynard, Alex Walker, Jonah Harold, and Navia Harless. House, please make them welcome.
The gentleman from the 51st, Delegate Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm glad to have a very special guest with me today in the South Gallery, my father, Jacques Williams. If he would please stand, and if the House would make him feel welcome.
Lady from the 51st, Delegate Fleischauer.
Thank you. We have some more guests from Mon County. I'm really pleased that the head of our sheriff's tax office, Kelly Palmer, is here today. Would she please stand? And also my law school friend, Bev Kerr, who's here advocating for senior issues with AARP. Would they both stand again? And would the House please make them welcome?
Gentleman from the 5th, Delegate Pethel.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. In the West Gallery today, I have a good friend here, Abaya Whiston. If he would please stand, he's a senior at West Virginia Wesleyan College, and he's here observing the legislative process today. Please make him welcome.
Gentleman from the 19th, Delegate Hicks.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Additionally to the previously announced pages, we have a young lady by the name of Emily Manier, and she is a special guest. Her grandparents are dear friends of mine. House, please make Ms. Manier welcome.
Further introduction to guests. If not, reports to standing committees.
Committee on Education has had under consideration House Bill 2009, creating a new category of innovation in education grant program. Reports the same back with recommendation that it do pass.
Report to be received.
Committee on Judiciary has had under consideration House Bill 2527 relating to forgery and other crimes concerning lottery tickets, and House Bill 2509 clarifying that theft of a controlled substance is a felony. Reports the same back with recommendation that each do pass.
Report to be received.
Committee on Judiciary has had under consideration House Bill 2446 Blue Alert Plan and House Bill 2435 authorizing the Attorney General to prosecute violations of state criminal law recommended by the Commission on Special Investigations. Reports back committee substitutes, therefore, with the recommendation that the committee substitutes each do pass.
Report to be received. Further reports to standing committees. Reports to select committees. Messages from the executive. Messages from the Senate.
Clerk of the Senate announces the passage by the Senate of committee substitute for Senate Bill 17 relating to probation eligibility.
Report to be received. Bill be referred to the Committee on Judiciary.
The Senate has passed committee substitute for Senate Bill 61, adding certain crimes for which prosecutor may apply for wiretap.
Report to be received. Bill be referred to the Committee on the Judiciary.
The Senate has passed Senate Bill 119, specifying documents not subject to discovery in certain proceedings.
Report to be received. Bill be referred to the Committee on the Judiciary. Resolutions.
House Concurrent Resolution 25, requesting the Joint Committee on Government Finance study the discrepancy between estimates and actual readings of electrical meters.
Lady from the 49th.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that the further reading of resolutions introduced be dispensed with and that they be considered as formally introduced and referred to the appropriate committees as indicated on the chamber automation system.
The lady from the 49th asks unanimous consent that further reading of resolutions introduced be dispensed with and that each resolution be considered formally introduced and referred to the appropriate committees as shown on the chamber automation system. Is there objection? No objection. So ordered. Motions, petitions, Bills introduced.
House Bill 2574, repealing the soft drink tax.
Lady from the 49th.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that the further reading of bills introduced be dispensed with and that they be considered as formally introduced and referred to the appropriate committees as indicated on the chamber automation system.
The lady from the 49th asks unanimous consent that further reading of bills introduced be dispensed with and that each bill be considered having been formally introduced and referred to the appropriate committees as shown on the chamber automation system. Is there objection? The chair hears no objection. So ordered. Unfinished business. Bills on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 2362, relating to procedures for voting an emergency absentee ballot by qualified voters.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from the 35th, Doug Capito, to explain
Thank you
the
very
bill.
much, Mr. Speaker, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This bill deals with instances where certain voters in counties are unable to vote a ballot like many of us enjoy that opportunity. And so what this bill and what this code section does is it provides those situations in which we allow counties to implement policies to accommodate those situations. This will be known as the Ardella Miller Memorial Act, as we learned yesterday. Currently, county commissions may adopt policies that extend to those that are to vote an emergency absentee ballot to those that are in hospitals and nursing homes, essentially. And what we're doing today is we're adding to that list to add instances where individuals are unable to make it to vote due to 3 different reasons, and I'll read those, and those will be in front of you on the bill as well. If an individual is unable to make it to the polling place or is prevented from traveling to a polling place because of illness, injury, or other medical reasons, or 2, physical disability, or 3, immobility due to extreme advanced age. Mr. Speaker, that's the bill, and I urge passage.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there members who wish to speak to the passage of the bill? If not, the question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. 97 yeas, 0 nays, 3 members absent not voting. More than a majority of those present having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. Clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 2362.
Are there amendments to the title? If not, the title is read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate and request concurrence therein. Bills on second reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 2095, assessing the college and career readiness of 11th and 12th grade students.
Are there amendments? Bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 2193, providing the specific escheat of U.S. savings bonds.
Are there amendments?
Delegates Schott and Fast move to amend the bill. This is HFA Schott and Fast 1-22, number 1.
Does the gentleman from 27th wish to explain the amendment? Is there objection? Chair hears no objection.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and to the members. Although if you look at the amendment on the chamber automation system, it looks like a very complex amendment, but in fact, it basically is just restructuring the bill and clarifying the intent. There was some discussion in our committee that this bill might be better crafted, and that's what we've attempted to do with the amendment to clarify. And let me just briefly explain the purpose of the bill so you can keep the amendment in its context. The bill seeks to address a situation in which United States savings bonds are unclaimed for a period of time after their maturity. We learned it during the committee that bonds do not gain interest or earn interest indefinitely into the future. Usually they have a term, 10 years, 20 years, 40 years, whatever, and then the interest stops. And the bill addresses a situation where that period has passed for 5 years and presumes that those are abandoned. And it seeks to implement a procedure by which our treasurer can recoup the earnings on those bonds and treat it like any other type of unclaimed property. There was concern that the bill did not clearly indicate that the treasurer first had to go through a due process proceeding by which he would attempt to notify the last known address and the last known owner of the bonds, so that person could come in and intervene and seek to redeem these bonds. And only after that process was completed would the treasurer then been deemed to be the owner of the bond. And the critical element of this is that the U.S. government does not recognize your ability to redeem those bonds unless you're deemed to have title to the bonds. So the treasurer which is currently in the possession of nearly $500,000 of these bonds, they're no good to anybody because the government does not recognize the treasurer's ability to redeem them and treat them as unclaimed property. And that's what the bill attempts to do, a process to allow the treasurer to do that. And then there's a further process already in code that anyone who has a claim to those and can file the claim in the normal procedure. So basically what we've done is simplify the structure and clarify the intent. Mr. Speaker, I urge adoption of the amendment.
Question before the House is the adoption of the amendment. Are there members who wish to speak to the adoption of the amendment? If not, the question's on adoption of the amendment. Those in favor of the amendment will say aye. Those opposed will say no. The ayes have it, and the amendment is adopted. Are there further amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 2423, prohibiting certain sex offenders from being in a supervisory position over children.
Are there amendments? Bill will be advanced. Further bills on second reading, bills on first reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 2005, Broadband Expansion Act of 2019.
Bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 2346, changing the licensing requirement for certain casino employees.
Bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 2360, placing the Athletic Commission under the Lottery Commission.
Bill will be advanced.
House Bill 2412, relating to criminal acts concerning government procurement of commodities and services.
Bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 2422, relating to the time for the observation of Celebrate Freedom Week.
Bill will be advanced.
House Bill 2459, exercising authority to exempt individuals domiciled within the state from certain restrictions contained in federal law.
Bill will be advanced.
House Bill 2462, issuing a certificate to correctional employees to carry firearms.
Bill will be advanced. Further bills on first reading, leaves of absence. Lady from the 49th.
Mr. Speaker, for our colleagues Holland, Scaff, and Queen.
Without objection, leaves will be granted. Chair sees no objection. Remarks by members of the House. Introduction of guests. Gentleman from the 16th, Delegate Limble.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is my pleasure to announce that, sponsored by the West Virginia Academy of Family Physicians and celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Doc for a Day program, our family doctor today is Kate Rector-Bennett, MD, of both Morgantown and Huntington, West Virginia. The House make her feel welcome.
Are there further introductions of guests? If not, miscellaneous business. Lady from the 49th.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move, subject to announcement, the House adjourn until 11 a.m. Wednesday, January 23rd.
Lady from the 49th moves that, subject to announcements, the House stand adjourned until 11 a.m. on tomorrow, Wednesday, January 23rd. Are there announcements? Gentleman from the 10th, Delegate Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Finance will meet Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. for the Department of Commerce budget hearing, and will meet immediately following the morning budget hearing to consider legislation. The agenda is posted. Finance will also meet Wednesday afternoon at 2 p.m. for the Department DMAPS hearing and at 4 p.m. for the Public Service Commission. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman from the 35th, Delegate Capito.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on the Judiciary will meet tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. in the committee room, and the agenda will be posted. Thank you.
Gentleman from the 21st, Delegate Dean.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Education will meet tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. in the House Education Committee room. The agenda will be posted.
Lady from the 38th, Delegate Graves.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Pensions and Retirement will meet today at 4 p.m. in the House Finance Committee room, and the agenda has been posted.
Gentleman from the 28th, Delegate Pack.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Government Organization will meet today, tomorrow at 9 a.m. in the Government Organization Committee room. The agenda will be posted. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, Republican members of this House will caucus here in the chamber, and we will begin promptly at 11:45.
Gentleman from the 25th, Delegate Painter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Veterans Affairs and Homeland Security will meet Thursday, 1 o'clock at House Ed, and the agenda is posted.
Gentleman from the 41st, Delegate Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Health and Human Resources will meet today at 2 p.m. in room 215E. Republican members will caucus at 1:30 in the chairman's office.
Lady from the 3rd, Delegate Storch.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Political Subdivisions will meet at 1 o'clock today in House Education. The agenda is posted.
Lady from the 32nd, Delegate Staggers.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Democrats on Health and Human Resources will caucus today in room 230 East. Thank you.
Gentleman from the 50th, Delegate Caputo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Democratic members of this House will caucus today at 11:45 in House Government Organization 215E. House Democrats at 11:45.
Gentleman 25th, Delegate Painter.
I'd like to make a correction on that. Your meeting for the Veterans and Homeland Security will be Wednesday instead of Thursday.
Are there further announcements? Are there further announcements? Gentleman 22nd, Delegate Jeffries.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to wish my colleague over in the 16th District, Daniel Linville, a happy birthday.
Are there further announcements? If not, the question before the House is the motion by the lady from the 49th that the House stand adjourned until 11 a.m. on tomorrow, Wednesday, January 23rd. Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed will say no. Ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. The House is adjourned until 11 a.m. tomorrow.